Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton from My House to Yours. Welcome to EMS at Sea Level. I am joined by Carsten Ellermeier, who is now from DelTec. Last time we spoke, it was something different, but now DelTec. Give me a quick introduction to DelTec and the story as we go from you becoming an owner, so your acquisition of DelTec, and a little bit of the history of DelTec before you took charge.
Hi, Phil. Great to talk to you again. Yeah, now in the new role as owner instead of CEO. So CEO and owner, which is quite new for me, just since 14 months. But of course, a really important step in my life. Yeah, and coming back, I'm taking over DelTec out of insolvency situation. DelTec was an existing top 10 player in Germany, very well known in automotive business. And this was also the reason why I had this chance, this opportunity to take over DelTec. Because end of 2024, they had the situation that the automotive market, as you know, breaks extremely down. And in this time, DelTec was focusing more than 70% on just automotive passenger cars. And that was the strategic fault, to say. Many years before, that runs perfectly, and you had the chance to grow with the car industry and passenger car industry. But in 2004, the crisis was on the extreme point. If you have 2/3 of the turnover, and then I take the chance to acquire the assets as a classical asset deal out of the insolvency, and deciding switching from my C-level position in EMS industry to be my own entrepreneur first time. So it's really,
it's a big change, isn't it? It's exciting. I'm kind of curious at just tackling that first of all. How different does it feel to be not just the CEO, but the shareholder as well? You know,
better.
The person that employs the CEO.
Definitely better. Phil. Yeah, definitely better. Of course, the first nights and the first weeks. Even if you are experienced CEO, you are a bit more nervous than normal, as you know. So, of course. And you need luck too. This is the truth.
Of course.
And this is fine. And timing is, of course, important, and the opportunity. So, at the end, it is an opportunity-driven decision. And then you must take the decision by your own and said, okay, that's my point. That's my time. Maybe this is my age in the middle of the working life. And with enough experience, and then you need also trust in yourself, and you need some meetings with customers and suppliers, and many of them you know from your former network, and you need trust also on the stakeholder, how to say, suppliers and customers, and need trust in these relationships. And then it starts, and I'm really happy after 14 months.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, and it's not a life crisis, but some people buy a motorcycle. You bought a EMS company. It's a very interesting choice. I guess the first challenge that you had was to make sure you had more diverse portfolio of customers. Have you been able to do that, and how important has that been?
I'm happy to be successful in that way of doing diversification. And we are now close to 50% of the turnover with automotive passenger car business. So we are going in the right direction. And of course, the target will be not more than 30% in the 3 to 4 years target. But that doesn't mean that we want to leave the automotive passenger car business. I still think in the strong and over decades successful German and OEM and European passenger car industry. But point of strategic ownership, you need to have this focus on 35% at maximum. So 1/3 of the company should be enough. I'm lucky that I had the chance with existing customers from DelTec to increase relationship. So the trust was there on customer side, and it was possible just in even in the first year after taking over to increase the business with non-automotive customers. And of course, I could acquire new customers.
Some new customers.
Out of my history, out of my contacts, out of my network over the decades.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of argumentation and first contact with existing network. If you say, gentlemen, I'm back in the game. Yeah. But now
I bought this business.
It's my risk. It's also my risk. It's my company.
Yeah.
I asked you for a chance. This is a different kind of sales activity. Yeah. But it fits. Yeah. I really like that it fits. It's giving me it's giving me comfortable feeling. It's giving me trust back from long relationship partners. Yeah. This is my experience in the first year. Yeah.
Yeah, and they like that you've got skin in the game. They like what you're doing. Just to go to those two different areas, the 50% that's still in automotive, is that transitioning from internal combustion to something that's more EV related? And do you find the relationship with car makers, for example, is changing with EVs over the prior relationship with with the larger tier ones, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm happy that also the former business within DelTec was also fitting to both technologies. Yeah, so a lot of the existing products are in climatization controls, for example, and in lighting business, passenger car, which fits totally to all the BEV cars too. So this was one of the strategic points where I decided that the risk is high, of course, to taking over an automotive-driven customer, but you are also in the new technology level for the next decades. Yeah. So this is also one point why I'm saying I don't want to step out of the automotive passenger car business. It doesn't make sense. We have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the contacts. We have to look about the other fields. We have to look about high performance charging infrastructure in addition as well. Yeah, but you have the quality processes, you have the certification, you have the contacts to the markets, and you have a good brand name in the automotive market.
Yeah, that's hugely valuable. And when you look at the other sectors, the sectors that you're growing, the sectors that you expect to grow to 2/3 of the business, what are the focuses there? And we're hearing a lot about an inflection point in the defense industry. Well, obviously, we're hearing a lot about AI infrastructure, although I don't think Europe's perhaps had the same value add that many of the Asian and American companies have on that basis. Which markets are you really focused on?
Now, mostly all EMS are now telling the story of defense industry, and this is the normal way of discussion for the future markets for the next years. And I honestly saying, of course, I'm interested in defense industry, but this is not a market which is lying in front of you, and this is not increasing such fast as everybody wants this business. So let's talk about the basics. So DelTec is a medium-sized company. And we have a lot of diversification in the market. We have a lot of consolidation in the EMS market. We have a lot of acquisition of medium-sized companies, and this is a major chance for DelTec. If you're seeing the structure of the EMS companies in Europe, the medium-sized companies are acquired by the bigger ones. And this is a good chance for medium-sized customers. Not everybody wants to be integrated in a big concern. Wants to have direct person, wants still to have a medium-sized supplier, which he knows the owner, where we have the direct contacts, where you can drive in 2 hours and being responsible, and of course having the size on the supplier side to have the name and the decision and can push more instead of a big acquisition. So thinking still about mid-size industry in Europe, so about different branches. If we are talking about branches, DelTec has also a medical certification, so don't forget about medical beside all the defense discussions. Was not successful in the past in this industry, but have the knowledge for the processes. It's not such big difference between automotive in point of quality and traceability and digitalization of processes necessary to realizing the absolutely high-end level for zero defect strategy. It is similar in medical industry. And I have a good history in medical industry, especially in Germany. And of course, I try to push this market in the future for DelTec. And beside that, I was successful in robotic and automation industry. So there are medium-sized companies in Germany with robotic systems, with HMI systems, with also all the building technology, and also the industrial battery storage markets. Is even similar interesting like defense sector. And And this is a wide range where I can enter in. And of course, it is not just one more market I search about to combine the automotive volume. There are minimum 3 different markets I'm addressing currently.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And I think there's some really interesting market spaces there. You talk about robotics. I know there's a lot of hype about humanoid robotics and the future there, but the transition between medical and robotics is becoming really fascinating and really interesting as well. And having the skill set. The other thing I really like about companies that have grown up with a automotive foundation, with that in their DNA, they tend to be very good at their own automation. They tend to be very focused on taking the last few cents out of the cost of manufacturing of each product, because that's absolutely necessary in the automotive sector. So that gives you a real base.
Yeah, this is where we are coming from, with absolutely big investments in high-tech machinery equipment, in really high knowledge of THT automation processes. Yeah, so in point of PCBA and competitiveness and looking for the last cents to be competitive and on high quality level. This is existing experience and knowledge from DelTec, which I want to keep. What was missing? Missing was the vertical integration, the transition from a high-tech and highly automized PCBA manufacturer, classical PCBA manufacturer, to the full service or the full circle, life circles provider. This is what was missing. So there was not enough products and not enough focusing on complete modules, products, or maybe in the vision of 5 years, also systems. And this is the process I want to focus about.
Yeah, and that adds a lot of dimension to the automation as well. It requires some flexible automation and a different strategy. But I know from the automotive industry, you have the skills and the way of thinking to do that. The other thing that you've done in that area, you announced a partnership with Panasonic. I appreciate Panasonic are very focused on the SMT line, but tell me a bit about that digital transformation strategy that you've undertaken with Panasonic.
Thank you. So Panasonic is a really important, if not one of the most, if not the most important player for us in a strategic relationship wise. We are preferred integrator for Europe for Panasonic Connect. We have the newest technology of SMT lines and also THT lines assembly from Panasonic overall. But we are going together the next step. We have developed, even with Innovax, every pick-to-light system and traceability and cover all the traceability and OAE automatically and KPI measurement on the SMT side, already done since 1 year. So this was on a really, really good stage. What was missing? The next step was missing. So similar knowledge for THT assembly, similar knowledge for assembling complete models, including the test measurements of the testing systems, if it is ICT or FKT or whatever, until the end of the process. And this is not a typical Panasonic knowledge, because they just have started with the THT assembly lines, and they use us as a preferred EMS integrator to bring the rest of the knowledge in. And we develop it together with the Tunisian development partner. The company is called B4C Creation. And with this team together, we do build the next technology in digitalization, traceability, and the complete knowledge until the end of the project. With several functions. We will show that on the Electronica booth this year, and we'll announce it quite close before. We called it DelTec Guided Manual Assembly. The system is a combination of many systems that you know from the market in point of collaborative assistance systems for the worker, but with complete traceability. So it has not just camera systems, it has not just pick-to-light, it combines everything from the THT component until the final product in traceability and KPI measurement digitalized. And this is a combination of knowledge of DelTec, Panasonic, and B4C.
Okay, that sounds an excellent process to go through for the next stage of automation. I have to ask, because it's inevitable that people will ask you, is AI playing a role in this? And do you see this as something that gives you a really good foundation to build AI on top of?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it is AI. At the end, at the end, the process, how it is working, it is AI. But you need a lot of more data in the system to use the
and good
AI.
data.
Yeah, to have good data to use the AI. Yeah, and you have a lot internally. You have also all the AOI 3D data and X-ray data from the products until so far, and you have to add that to the digital guided manual assembly system. Yeah, and then you are in a good way. But the question is right. I would say 12 months earlier, maybe it is in the next announcement step. Huh?
Yeah.
But your question is 100% right, Phil.
Well, I look forward to seeing that on the Electronica booth, and hopefully you'll have some representation from Panasonic Connect and Viscom that we can chat to about it at the time. The other news that came out recently was the acquisition of the facility from Circor. The fact that you've acquired the business, the DelTec business, and you're already adding additional capacity is really exciting. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, capacity is one point of the view. It is not a secret that the availability of high technical people in Tunisia is really good. Even the universities are growing very fast. In addition, the average age for industrial assembly technology is much better compared to the European countries. You know, the average age in industry companies. Beside that, it makes the next step for the vertical integration in competitiveness. Yeah, so if you have the automation and the digitalization concept for your flagship, for the PCBA system, including THT and modules and testing systems, you don't have to forget the rest of the components which you need in addition to PCBA to build the final product. Yeah. And my decision was to look about wire harnesses. Yeah, because coming from my history, close to each PCBA need a wire harness. Yeah, so need a cable assembly, a connection, and mostly is plastic ejection as well. So you need plastic cases more than metal cases. Yeah. And this makes sense. And this new facility, this existing Secor facility was fitting very good. Yeah, there is an S&T area, there is a THT area there. There is a huge cable assembly area there with plastic injection, with plastic molding, with overmolding of cables for grommets and connectors. Yeah, and that fits strategically wise very good. In addition, it is in a free trade zone, so very comfortable for European investors. In all duty and tax issues. In addition, it was founded 20 years ago by a German investor, because the former owner of Secor Tunisia was Phoenix Mecano. So it is, in easy words, it's a German-driven company, which makes the integration much easier.
Makes the cultural fit better. Yeah, absolutely.
Cultural thing, language thing, and the integration working together with Germans is easier to integrate.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. It's key.
That helps a lot. And of course, there are expats too there. So for many years, that helps a lot. And that makes sense for me. And even the customer side, from my experience with being owner of one EMS fab from the first year, 14 months, was instead of my former working stations and my C-level, nobody asked me about the size of the company, about is there a second facility as backup solution. And of course, as new owner, as DelTec with one flagship facility, many customers ask me, what is your plan B? What is your risk management area? What is your second facility? Yeah, and this is also the next checkpoint on my list.
Yeah, no, it's important. And when I look at acquisition, I always think there are three check boxes, and you filled them all there. One is finding the right geography, the other is capacity, and the third is capability. And you're adding all three of those, and I think that's hugely valuable. As you mentioned, culture within a integration is hugely important. So the fact that they're aligned with the German way of doing things, I think, is hugely valuable. I wanted to zoom out briefly and just have a look at what's going on in the industry generally. We talked a bit about markets, so we've kind of covered that side of it. But on the supply side, there's a little bit of tension around printed circuit board availability. I think that boils all the way back to laminate availability. And obviously, there are component and semiconductor issues. I feel they're just AI sucking the oxygen out of the room for all of us. Is that the reason behind it? And how do you mitigate those challenges?
We will see what the rest of the year will happen on the market. Yeah, we are in an electronic year, in an electronica year. Very often in the history comes some problems on the desk in supply chain in electronica years. Yeah. So now we have the next booming industry, which is a fact, and the laminate situation is a fact too. But we have still overcapacity in raw PCB manufacturing globally wise on the global market value. Yeah, this is a fact too. So if there is a problem in raw material and it will be solved a bit better, yeah, the supply chain is getting stable again because we still have overcapacity on the world market on production, PCB manufacture production side. Yeah. So don't get too much nervous so far. Yeah, of course, you need you need to provide to your strategic PCB partners long-term forecasts when available. You should give them the possibility to give the real numbers to the raw material suppliers. Yeah, in that case, you have to be carefully don't accepting the price increases. Yeah, if they cannot survive, they cannot deliver. So being fair in relationship again. Yeah, being hard but fair. Yeah, and working with strategic partners to getting the real facts, to getting really close information from Shengyi and Kingboard to get the information live and defining strategies that is still possible. And of course, yeah, we don't just have to look about the raw PCB manufacturers from China. Yeah, we have also look about the laminates. Yeah, this is the next learning effect. We very often had that. But remember, we had that also with tantalum pulver for tantalum capacitors, and many of these problems could be solved because if it is interesting to invest, and there is an AOI, the investment can be done very fast, especially by the Asian supplier base. And don't talk about the Asian supplier base also only as competitor. See although the chances in this fast economy, in this powerful economy to solve problems too.
Yeah, their ability to scale is impressive.
Exactly, it is impressive. And you cannot imagine as a European guy how fast they can solve problems if there is a business case behind. Maybe the storage issue could be a bit longer. And this is of course one allocation situation which is really tough in the moment and forcing some customers. But as you know, not each PCB and far away from each PCB needs storage on it. It is a special range of the market driven by KI. And also this is a market with KA which will be stable and increasing very fast over the next years. And I see a stable growth in this market. And I trust in that. And therefore we will have also the big investments on the market.
I agree with you. I think we will see people scale to meet those demands. The last thing I was going to say about that is you need to have as much visibility. You need to deliver as much visibility as you can to your suppliers and likewise to your customers. That's another layer of digital transformation in your business. So you have real-time data.
This is a fact, and even the communication. So it is also part of our job as EMS player to do a fair and transparent and open communication with the customers in time, which are not focusing on a single part of their product, which is a storage or a raw PCB. They need to inform in time. They need to be in discussions where you must to do the early alert, to giving raw materials approval for longer time, and not pre-cash or whatever, and all these issues just to inform in time. And let also the C-level from the customers know, look about storage, maybe increasing the stock volume a bit, maybe planning on your customer side that you need to do price increases. Because if we're paying more, we are getting quantities, which is still a fact. But of course, in this market, in this global market, this is a painful discussion. And you can just work with trust in this relationship on both sides, on suppliers, on customer sides. And at the end, then you will have solutions. and find
Yeah, it just
solutions.
shows the value of those key partnerships and managing the communication and collaboration with those people in a very honest and very straightforward manner. And you're clearly doing a very good job of that. Carsten,
I would be more afraid if there is no business case
yeah,
behind raw
absolutely.
PCBs, or of course
Yeah,
there is no increasing market, but electronic will
but there is.
increase in each new
Yeah,
innovation, so it makes sense
yeah,
for investments and similar in
yeah,
storage systems.
yeah,
And lets me feel comfortable that this is
yeah,
a short period problem, yeah,
yeah, of
and will
adjustment.
be solved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. Carsten, it's a joy to speak to you as an entrepreneur and an owner, as well as a CEO now. I wish you every success in the future. Congratulations on what you've done so far. And I look forward to chatting again with you at Electronica, if not before. Thank you.
At latest, Phil. Thank you very much.